So good day everyone. I am Patrice Jean Umoko, the assigned reporter for the topic entitled The Evolution of the Philippine Constitution. Now, let's start the discussion. The Philippine Constitution served as the fundamental law of the land, shaping the government and the rights of its people. Over time, the country has had several constitutions, each reflecting the historical and political landscape of its era. This presentation will discuss the different constitutions that governed the Philippines from the revolutionary period to the present. The Constitution of Biak Bato was a provisional constitution adopted by the Philippine Revolutionary Government during the Philippine Revolution. It was adopted during the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule. The Constitution of Biak Bato established three main organs of government: Supreme Council, Consejo Pro Supremo de Gracia y Justicia, or the Supreme Council of Grace and Justice, and Asamblea de Representantes, or the Assembly of Representatives. The Constitution of Biak Bato was influenced by the Cuban institution, but its implementation was cut short due to the signing of the Pact of Biak Bato. The Malolos Constitution in 1899. The Malolos Constitution was the first official constitution of the Philippines, drafted and approved in 1898 and officially enacted in 1899. This document established a democratic government, signifying the Filipinos' aspiration for independence after centuries of Spanish rule. It was a historic milestone as it provided the framework for the first Philippine Republic. The events leading to the Malolos Constitution began with the Pact of Biak Bato in December 1897, where Filipino revolutionary leaders, including Emilio Aguinaldo, accepted a truce with Spain and went into exile in Hong Kong. However, the outbreak of the Spanish-American War changed the course of history. On May 1, 1898, the Battle of Manila Bay took place, where the U.S. Navy decisively defeated Spanish forces, weakening Spain's control over the Philippines. This victory emboldened Filipinos to push for full independence, culminating in the Philippine Declaration of Independence on June 12, 1898, in Kawit, Cavite. To further establish self-rule, Malolos Congress was convened on September 17, 1898, composed of wealthy and educated men. Their task was to draft a constitution that would serve as the foundation of a new independent government. The Malolos Constitution was influenced by various democratic models worldwide. After intense deliberations, the Malolos Congress approved the Constitution on November 29, 1898. Shortly after, on January 21, 1899, Emilio Aguinaldo officially promulgated the document, making it the first official constitution of the First Philippine Republic. This marked a significant moment in Philippine history as it was the first Filipinos formalize their own governance structure. The Malolos Constitution contained 39 articles divided into 14 titles, along with 8 transitory provisions. It was heavily influenced by the Spanish Constitution of 1812, which provided the foundation for its political structure. Additionally, the French constitutions of 1793 inspired its democratic principles and emphasized on individual rights. Other influences came from the Constitution of Belgium, Mexico, Brazil, and various Latin American nations, which had governance models that suited Philippine society. The main author is Felipe Calderon, carefully studied these different constitutional frameworks. He chose these particular models because their social, political, and governance structures closely resembled the conditions of the Philippines at that time. The Malolos Constitution declared that sovereignty resided in the Filipino people, meaning the government derived its power from the citizens rather than a colonial ruler. Another major provision was the separation of church and state, a response to the dominant influence of the Spanish friars over political and social affairs during Spanish rule. In terms of governance, legislative power was vested in unicameral assembly of representatives, where members were elected for 4-year terms. The assembly had significant authority, including the power to impeach the president and other government officials. The executive power was vested in the president of the republic, who was elected for a 4-year term without the possibility of re-election. Notably, the Constitution did not establish a vice president. If a vacancy occurred, the Assembly would elect a new president. Additionally, the judiciary was created to uphold laws and ensure justice within the Republic. Despite its progressive provisions, the Malolos Constitution faced immediate challenges. On December 10, 1898, the Treaty of Paris was signed between Spain and the United States. Through the treaty, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States for $20 million, effectively placing the country under American rule. This meant that even though the Malolos Constitution had been enacted, the Philippines was now under a new foreign power. The First Philippine Republic was not recognized by the United States, leading to the outbreak of the Philippine-American War in 1899 to 1902. The war resulted in the eventual defeat of Filipino forces and establishment of American colonial rule, rendering the Malolos Constitution ineffective. The 1935 Commonwealth Constitution. The Constitution laid the foundation for Philippine independence under United States rule. It established the Commonwealth of the Philippines 1935 to 1946 as a transitional government to prepare for full sovereignty. U.S. colonization and early governance. December 10, 1898, the Treaty of Paris, Spain ceded the Philippines to the U.S. 1898 to 1901, U.S. military government controlled the country. 1901 to 1935, transition to civil governance with the passage of K laws. The Philippine Organic Act of 1902, the first organic law governing the Philippines under United States rule, created a bicameral legislature, Philippine Commission or the Upper House, appointed by the U.S., Philippine Assembly or the Lower House, first elected body, introduced the Bill of Rights for the Filipinos. John's Law of 1916, also called the Philippine Autonomy Act, replaced the Philippine Commission with an elected Senate, the first legislature fully elected by Filipinos, stated the U.S. intention to grant independence once a stable government was established. Independence movements and legislative acts. In 1919, Sergio Osmeña and Manuel Rojas led an independence mission to the U.S. In 1933, the Hair-Hawes Cutting Act was passed but rejected by the Philippine Senate. In 1934, the Tidings-McDuffie Act, Philippine Independence Act, was approved, allowing Filipinos to draft their own constitution.
during the
drafting the
American colonial
1935
period as
Constitution.
part of the
On July
Philippines'
30,
transition to
1934,
independence. It
Constitutional
was approved
Convention
by the
began.
U.S.
On
President
February 8,
Franklin D.
1935,
Roosevelt
Constitution
and
was approved
established
by
a
the
presidential
Convention.
system of
March
government
23
with a
in
bicameral
1935,
legislature.
ratified by U.S.
This constitution
President
laid
Franklin
the
D. Roosevelt.
foundation for
The key features of the 1935 Constitution established the Commonwealth of the Philippines as a transitional government, presidential system with a unicameral legislature, later changed to bicameral in 1940, created the Commission on Elections or the COMELEC to oversee fair elections. A constitutional influences. American Constitution main influence especially on the presidential system. Malola's Constitution in 1899 inspired Filipino sovereignty. German, Spanish, and Mexican implementation and leadership. In September 1935, Manuel L. Quezon elected as the first president. Commonwealth period in 1935 to 1941 focused on preparing for independence, interrupted by Philippine independence in 1946. July 4, 1946, the Philippines was declared a fully independent republic, officially ending U.S. rule.